So today's video, we're talking about book-like packaging for Blu-rays, and I don't mean like Murder, She Wrote, where it literally looks like a book.
It's morphin' time!
Hello, this is Soundout here, and on today's video, we're talking about book packaging for Blu-rays and DVDs as well. Just physical media in general, where you have stuff that's like books. I'll explain it in a minute. I got a ton of examples because this is an incredibly frequent packaging style for Blu-rays. Of course, you know, standard plastic cases are most typical, but for ones that they want to make it feel a little special but not spend too much on, this is kind of the style we're talking about. I got plenty of examples. This will be kind of fun. Let me know in the comments if you guys like this style of packaging. I'll be giving my thoughts as we go along. I am mixed on some, better on others. But yeah, let me know about your thoughts in the comments. And while you're down there, hit the like button if you enjoy physical media videos, and hit subscribe and the notification bell so you can keep up with future uploads. Really do appreciate all that good stuff supporting the channel. So when it comes to this, I have examples from Sony, from Universal, from Warner Brothers, from all over, and it's all personal picks from my collection. I'm not doing anything outside my collection today. It's mostly just to talk about the style and the topic. So let's get to it. We're going to talk about book-style packaging for Blu-rays and DVDs. You know, I thought it'd be best to start where I have the most, which is Universal. They certainly love doing these. I mean, like crazy. So let's start with this. Let's talk about like the Alfred Hitchcock's classic collection. I don't know why I put Alfred Hitchcock's like it's possessive classic collection. It's Alfred Hitchcock classic collection. Anyways, Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, The Birds. This first set was like really, really stacked. But basically, it is, you know, essentially a book. A book. It's what a book is. I mean, there's no other way to put it. So you can kind of see we got the poster, we got the bonus features, and then on one side you have your Blu-ray disc, and on the other side you have your 4K disc. And that's kind of how the entire set is set up for all the movies, which is fun. I've already redeemed my code, so don't worry about that. But that is kind of like how it works. I do like the overall packaging style. You know, it's not too bad. One of the things I've noticed is that the discs don't get stuck. Because this is kind of glued at the top and the bottom, it's not really glued here. So if the disc, because it's kind of the worry with this style packaging, is the disc will slip in too far. Here, I worry about not being able to grab the disc out without having to stretch everything. But also, you know, there's worries that it would get stuck in the glue, because that could be a problem. My concern is that if you shake it from the side, stuff starts to slide out. And that's what I like when Universal does them with the little slip covers, because then you don't have that issue. Like everything's nice and contained. They did this for all three of the Hitchcock Classic editions, which is kind of fun for consistency. But yeah, it is kind of a format they've been using. Also, the thicknesses are different for the number of movies included. This carried forward to their Universal Monster Icons of Horror Collection 4Ks. It's the same exact format where you got nice artwork, Blu-ray on one side, 4K on the other side. Again, they can slip a little far, but because the glue is on the top and the bottom and not in the middle, I think it helps to prevent the discs from getting stuck, which I think is nice. And so I don't mind this one too much. Would I have preferred plastic spindles? Probably. I'm a big fan of plastic spindles over cardboard sleeves for any type of disc. This is no different, but this is not too bad. Like I said, the discs don't seem to get too stuck, at least in my experience with all 5 of these. And the only thing that I'd worry about is discs sliding this way, which, you know, slipcover solves that. It's not just for classic movies, because those have kind of a very similar design layout. This collection for Jurassic World, it's called the Jurassic World Ultimate Collection, right? Because they stopped making movies after Dominion. They still made Rebirth, but it was just like, this is the 6 movies at the time. And this one's a little bit thicker of a book, but it's still the same type format. And I don't mind it, once again, because you can pull the discs out nice and easy. It's not too badly laid out. It's got all the movies on Blu-ray and 4K. It's the same, you know, it's the same basic design. It's just with modern films than the others, but all that is pretty nice. The thing I will say is that I do like, again, the slip box, because we'll talk about another example from another publisher that didn't quite do that. So yeah, for me, you know, do I like the book style packaging? I think presentation wise it's nice. I like the, like again, do like the way that is done, because they're all nice and even. Different example, but because it's from a different format. But CDs, I don't like when CDs do it because like here's a CD, and I don't know if you can tell, but because CDs are a lot more easily scratched, yeah, you can see the abrasions on there. I bought this brand new, and there was abrasions on it, which caused some glitching and skipping because it's, you know, kind of rubbing up against the back cardboard. It's nice because you have like the booklet in the middle between the two discs, but it's kind of a bummer because there's kind of no way to pull a CD like this without roughing it up in some way. CDs are pretty resilient, but Blu-rays are definitely a lot more resilient, so I don't mind it for something like this. Now, interestingly enough, this is kind of recent for Universal, but for other publishers, it goes back a little farther. I think this is my first example, the Star Wars Complete Saga set from Fox for the first 6 Star Wars movies. This was like 2010s-ish. I think it was like whatever the first Blu-ray release was. And this one's a little different. It's got the different palettes here, but you can see that they have a kind of like a little cutout, and you reach in and you pull your disc out like that, which I think is kind of neat. I like this set a lot for the artwork in particular. This one doesn't seem to have an issue that we'll address with another release later, which is where the discs get completely dislodged, because it looks like it's cut out significantly, and again, there's no glue on this edge for it to run into. So it has a little bit of room to float, but it doesn't get stuck. Like, these discs always have been pretty easy to get. This may also be from overall wear and tear, because this is like my main Star Wars Blu-ray set. I also like that there was a booklet to where all the bonus features are in the back, which is nice. But yeah, that was kind of, I think, my first encounter with this style. And then another recent encounter of this style was a little bit different, which is this Batman, the animated series set. Because like with these others, it's a slide thing. This one is a top loader, and this was the limited edition version. You can see it's in the same style, except it's all horizontal instead of vertical. Once again, I didn't have an issue with the discs here, because you can kind of hear they have a stopping spot on this set. There's no way for the disc to slide below it, because there's just like whatever it is that they did. All the discs here like to move and split pretty nicely. Sometimes the pages stick together because of the glossiness. But yeah, this is, once again, all of these examples, I would say they're decent examples. I think, you know, there's always some downside. You know, I live in a desert climate, so anything that could melt is bad for me. But you can see even with the pages sticking, the actual discs aren't, which I think is nice to see, because that can be a problem pretty quickly. So overall, yeah, this style, no problems with this style. Let's talk about some other styles. So Sony did these trilogy pack re-releases for the Spider-Man movies. I'd say trilogy pack, and then, yep, Andrew Garfield didn't get a third movie. So these basically are a similar style to what we saw with Universal. This has a difference, though, that there is an actual book in the front. So the first chunk of this is an actual behind-the-scenes book. Talks about each movie, shows some promotional photos and set photos. Then you get into kind of the book style packaging, and you can see that, like, there's your disc right there. This one doesn't have glue here, but it's got kind of like a little bit of a indentation to kind of prevent it from slipping. Still slips past it anyways. You can see there's Spider-Man 2, no problem there. 3, and 3's editor's cut, which is the reason this set existed. That is fine. Now, the issue with this one, remember I talked about with Universal, you'd worry about, there goes the code, worry about the disc sliding out. Yeah, that's an issue with this one, right? Because there's no slipcover, there's a chance if you're holding it the wrong angle, your disc could go flying out of these book packagings. So I think they look nice on the shelf, but kind of, you know, you have to worry about the discs sliding out. Here is the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I got the 4K of this. I don't know why I didn't get the 4K of the Tobey movies, but to get the 4K of this, and it's the same format where the first section is a book, which you can see some of the pages had stuck together on mine, but it's like a booklet, and then you go into your movies, and then this one's got like twice as many pages because they put like Blu-ray for Amazing Spider-Man, then 4K for Amazing Spider-Man. So it's got kind of that going on instead of like the Universal method of Blu-ray on one side, 4K on the other. It's got that. But you can see the discs, you know, again, I haven't watched these movies in, I think the last time I watched any of these movies was for prep for No Way Home. And so you know, the discs aren't sticking, which is good. But it's that same thing of like, you know, if you shake it at the wrong angle, you could cause your discs to slide out. It's not bad. but I feel like we could do better in the same idea. And ironically, it's also from Sony. Ghostbusters 1 and 2, this was, I don't remember which Blu-ray releases this. Some of these movies that have come out so many times, it's hard to remember which version it was. But this version had, once again, you had the booklet idea up front, but then the actual discs on a plastic pallet. Now, it does help that there's only 2 discs here, as opposed to Spider-Man, the Tobey trilogy, there's 4 discs. With the Andrew trilogy, it's 4 discs. But with these, it's just the 2 together. That works. It also has this note from Ivan Reitman. That's pretty neat. I like this. I like the plastic trays. I don't mind the overlapping like this. It's when you start stacking multiple discs on a spindle. Maybe they could have designed a package that could have had like, 2 discs on one side, 2 discs on the other, and then a book in the middle. Because that is actually something I have an example of. Yeah, this is the fun part of researching. The original release for Clone Wars from Warner Brothers actually did that. Look at that right there. It was 3 discs, not 4. But I think Sony could have done something like this for the Spider-Man sets, where your discs were locked onto spindles, and then your booklet's in the middle. And this is actually a pretty nice booklet. That's why, even though I got the Season 1 to 5 Clone Wars set, I still kept the Season 1 and 2 sets, because they actually have those books, because the Season 2 took it a step further. And so the Season 2 set, which you can see, same layout, and then the booklet's in the middle, except the booklet is actually one that pulls out, and then you actually have the booklet as a separate book, as opposed to being tied into the middle of the packaging. And I've never seen anyone do that again, probably because that increases the price of the entire idea. But I think it was cool that they kind of upgraded the packaging. And then Season 3 was just in a standard Blu-ray case with a slipcover, so that's a little bit of a bummer. But those sets kind of, I think, improved on the idea that the Spider-Man sets and the Ghostbusters sets had. However, we're still not at my favorite example of this. And that would be these two, because these actually make sense. The Princess Bride is told through a storybook in the movie, so here is a storybook style story with the idea of the movie plus illustrations. And then look at that, the 2 discs on plastic spindles at the end there. That's from Criterion. I think this is really, really great. It'd be great if Criterion had the same idea for book style packaging consistently, but we'll get to that. And then Labyrinth, the 35th anniversary edition. This one even has this has got kind of like it's got, it's a similar texture to a book, where it's got that kind of rough felt texture. This is actually kind of like a faux leather texture for the Labyrinth. And once again, you've got illustrations, because it goes into the storybook feel of the movie. And so you've got like your little booklet there, and then you got your 2 discs on a pallet. I like these because thematically, the only reason there's, with other book style, it's like, oh, this is kind of a neat like little history. But these two, the book part of it really ties into the style and the feel of the movies. And so I think that is the way you do a book style. I will also say props to Sony on the Labyrinth, because the Labyrinth actually had a little slipcover, whereas the Princess Bride doesn't. But, this one's fine. There's not discs flying out, because they're in trays, not in sleeves. Now let's talk about some dicier examples. For the record, I do love Criterion Collection and their releases, but this packaging has been on my mind recently. This was the Godzilla Showa collection. It was the 1000th Criterion spine number. They put it in this gigantic book with full-size posters. That's the back cover art. Full-size poster art with credits for each movie and all that good stuff. Love that. And then the discs were here. And I say were because the slots, the slot system we talked about, what was that? With Star Wars, it was fine. With this, it became a problem. The slots, if you can tell by me pulling up here, it is one sheet across each page glued on top to hold the discs in place, which means any separation, like right here, you could easily slip a disc through. In fact, I have all my discs in a separate case because this would happen. The packaging when we first got it, I think everybody when it first came out was fine with it, but you can see if we put the disc in here, look at how it can just slide through. Now imagine having your book set up on a shelf. Mine was staying next to a shelf for a while, and then you have like disc 2 up here, which disc 2 would start sliding down. And then you got to worry about where the glue spots are. And so gravity and heat together, deadly combo for this set. And then you have to actually like get the discs out of here. This is actually kind of risky, I realized, doing this on camera where I can't see exactly what's going on. This is beautiful in concept, but it's too large for anybody's good. And then the disc palettes, because if these were on individual pages, like it was like a Star Wars or a Universal Monsters or something, where each disc was on an individual palette, that would help. Because all 4 of the discs on either side are part of one palette, and if the glue starts to pop, your discs just start to sink and slide through. That doesn't help anybody. So this one, it was a bummer. I reviewed it well back in the day, but sadly over time it has been kind of degrading. And I will also add that I'm hoping that all these movies get 4Ks, so I can just have nice normal 4K packaging as opposed to having all 8 discs over here on a separate case. It's just an old broken case, I think from one of the Sentai DVDs that I replaced. And yeah, that's where the rest of that lives, because this is not holding it up to the standard it should have. Now here's another common occurrence, the rectangle. Actually, I probably need to do a video on Blu-ray rectangles, because there's a lot of special edition sets that are just rectangles. The Bond 50 set, which I still adore for many reasons, but one of my biggest is that it includes all the movies in order. It is a book style, and the book style here, similar to Star Wars, and I actually haven't had any issues with this one. So with this, you know, you've got your slots here. I just want to pull this out and I want to check. Yeah, with the slots here, they don't go over. So it is, I don't know if this is just because it's glued well, but you can't get a disc to slide this way, right? It's not going to slide this way. And the glue, I believe, is on the top and the bottom and then straight in the middle. But there is something preventing the discs from sliding through. I'm not exactly sure what caused it to stop, but I have never had an issue on this set with the disc sticking, which I think is great. And I love the design, because it's like, oh, here's each Bond girl with each movie, which I think is just, you know, it's appropriate for the series and the franchise. But yeah, it's kind of, it's one of those things where I like the design of this. This one works. Now, that being said, this is, you know, this is a good chunk of movies. It's actually, it's like a pretty nice set, all things considered. One of my favorite features was that this came out before Skyfall came out. So they left a slot for Skyfall, which is nice. But yeah, so this one, no big deal. I think it works great. I think the presentation is nice. I have one more example for this video, and I saved it for last because it's this idea to a much greater extreme. So when I lift this set onto our set here, I want you to know I do have some upper body strength. I read 1,500-page comic omnibuses frequently. This thing is heavy. This is the Smallville Complete Series set, which is built like the Bond. It is a giant rectangle. It's dusty. I haven't touched it in a while. With 2 big books for all of its discs, because Smallville ran 10 seasons on network television, which means that is a ton of stuff. I also do find it funny that the actual booklet, that there's a couple different booklets in here. So you got a newspaper, which I think is a great inclusion. You got you know, Tom Welling as Clark Kent in that field that Sabrina Carpenter was dancing in recently. And then you've got all the episodes listed in this booklet, which is super cool. But it is a separate like booklet palette. And then we have the actual disc palettes. So boom, here we go. This is all DVD. The Blu-ray set went for individual season Blu-ray cases, which I think was nice. But this is actually a really pretty set because you got all these images from the show, and it's like correlates to each season and everything, and it goes through every single disc. And then on top of that, and I do mean that literally, the discs are up here at the top, so they slide out kind of okay. It's a real tight fit, and I don't think it's abrased the discs too much, but the fact these are DVDs is a little worrisome. If this was a Blu-ray set, which at the time they were just repacking the existing DVDs, if this was a Blu-ray set, it'd be a little bit better. I never had any issue with these discs playing, but this thing is built chunky. With all the other palettes we've looked at, they're like 2 layers of cardboard. Because these are 2-sided pages, because here's disc 3 and 4 on the opposite side, right? Because of that, if I can pull it out, yeah, the discs are real tight in there. They're slick towards the top, but once you push them down a little bit, they're a little bit tighter. But that's because this whole area down here is like nicely glued. It's all you can kind of see it's affixed at the corners here. So that way, and fixed in the middle, there's like brackets. and then that way the disc can slide through. So they have to be like a perfect fit to pull them out, but it works fairly okay. It will likely abrade some of the discs if you're not careful. You can see here we are on season 3. This disc is sitting real low, but you can still grab it. You can still pull it out. That's actually pretty nice. So honestly, despite like kind of the absurdity of the size of this, the discs don't get stuck. And again, I have not touched this in forever. I did not do any prepping ahead of the video. This has been sitting in my stuff for a while, and the discs still move. I think this one, above like all the others, is probably one of the best designed. It seems like it's actually designed for consistent use. Here's the season 6 to 10 side of it, which actually I think ends up being more discs. Also, remember when we were excited that was our live-action Justice League? Like that was the best we could get for a live-action Justice League at the time, and story-wise it worked. But yeah, so the rest of the discs are in here. This is an insanely long show, and it's an insane amount of discs as well, which I think is kind of fun. And then yeah, you go through all this. It's there we go, 60 discs. Or is it 60 or is it 62? It is 62 DVD discs on this set. And these are the bonus discs. Like this bonus disc has bonus features that aren't on the individual sets. Really great though. Like this is high quality. It's really sturdy. It weighs like a ton of pounds. In terms of book style packaging, this one might be the best, just in pure quality. So like I said, there's definitely more examples of this, and there's definitely no sign of this stopping. The upcoming Tom and Jerry Blu-rays doing a book style packaging. I think it's fine. I like when there's a slipcover. I think the way Universal did these is great. Even the Batman and Star Wars like that. Don't like the looseness of the Spider-Man. So if it's like this, I got no problem with it. If it's built as strong as Bond and Smallville, also got no problem with it. It's when they're built like the Criterion Godzilla or they're loose on the edge. I don't like that, but otherwise, fun times. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stay tuned for future Blu-ray videos. I've been kind of thinking about doing just more of these, like kind of highlighting a packaging style. So that's what we're doing here. There's definitely other videos on the channel if you haven't checked them out. So hit subscribe and the notification bell so you don't miss out. And hit the like button if you haven't already to tell YouTube you enjoyed this. Tell me you enjoyed this and make sure this video gets out to more people. If you want to continue the conversation, you can join our Discord server in the link below. We have a whole channel dedicated to Blu-rays and DVD talk, so come join and hang out. Also, be sure to check out the channel memberships. You can help support the channel directly and get perks like early access to videos. Let's give some special shoutouts to our channel members. Special shout out to all of our channel members, including Captain Tier, Spin-54, MasterBed95, Forever1000, Super Shaddix Boom, Mr. Smelly Potato, James Abel, Jamie's World, Veloquence, Rabbitman, Daniel Evans, Zizu426, Common Pikachu, John Troutman, Spidey Brian, Fernando Perea, Smotlock, Lord Tatman, Henry G, Caro, Gang1, Sebastian Travez. Thank you all for your support, both viewers and members alike. If you so wish, I'm also on social media on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Soundout12. You can find my wonderful graphic designer on social media and Discord at DarkClaw643. And you can find Hero Club at hero-club.com for interviews and more. And until next time, this is Soundout saying goodbye.